Okay, so let's continue on the next one, learning objective number 3. So we're going to discuss what are the activities, okay, and the process involved in the system implementation phase. Okay, so this is the implementation. It's the process of installing hardware and software and getting the AIS up and running. So will involve 5. Okay, so involve 5 steps ni. So actually conversion is another phase. We're going to discuss one learning objective for the conversion. So under system implementation, we're going to discuss these 5 phases, 5 steps. Okay, implementation planning, prepare sites, install and test hardware, select and train the personnel, complete the documentation and test the system. Okay, so dia tadi dah phase system design, so dah complete, dah ada design, dah ada sistem tu dah ada. So how they going to implement it? So the first step kita tengok install implementation planning. So for the implementation planning consists of the implementation task. Okay, expected completion dates bila, okay, the estimation of cost and the person responsible for each of the task. So dia kena tahulah during the implementation task ni, so who are the person involved, okay, and then also they need to plan the phases to implement, okay, time bila nak buat conversion later on, nanti dia dah ada timing, okay, and then the expected cost also they need to estimate how the cost involved in the implementation. So dia kena tahu bila dia nak install hardware and software, kena panggil vendor ke, for example kan. So the installation of the network, so mungkin ada involve cost ke, ataupun any of the people that need to give them the task to install the network dan sebagainya. Okay, so they need to have a planning, proper planning for the installation. Okay, and then they need to prepare the site untuk letak sistem tu, ataupun site, for example they want to use one sistem yang untuk gather information on the customer, for example. So komputer tu letak mana, so the network design, and then for the large computer may require extensive changes, okay, such as additional electronic outlets, data communication facilities, raise the floors. Okay, maybe dia ada server yang perlu dia kena jaga dia punya, takut ada flood ke whatsoever kan. So dia kena raise the floor, humidity control, especially for the live server, dia kena jaga humidity control. Okay, special lighting, air conditioning, okay, so ni semua nak jaga untuk server lah. Biasa server memang kena letak dalam bilik yang air conditioning, kalau tidak nanti dia tak boleh function. Okay, and then the space needed for the equipment, storage, office, semua tu adalah related to the site preparation. Okay, then select and train the personnel. So effective AIS training must consist of more than just hardware and software skill. So they can train how to use the system. So if let's say they employees to they new to the policy of operation, so they should plan for the training and schedule so it occurs just before the system testing and conversion. So basically test training ni they will provide to the employees ataupun the users before do testing on and conversion. Okay, so it can be as a type of training. For example, they can have vendor training, okay, or they can give the self-study manual to the employee to study on their own, ataupun they have a video tape presentation, or maybe ada complex, the system is complicated, they need to have the presentation, ada role play dan sebagainya lah. So those are the type of training that they can use. Okay, so actually one of the benefit of having this training to the personnel, they can boost the employee loyalty and moral. Okay, and also that one can give return on investment to the company, because sometimes when they do not give efficient training to the employee, sometimes employee tu akan give up kan, ataupun employee tu akan go to the somebody that have a skill using the system. So itu akan guna masa orang yang sepatutnya buat kerja lain, tapi dia kena bagi training pula kepada employee. So that can give a hidden cost to the company also. Okay, so they have to give adequate training to the employees. Very important, sebab new system kadang-kadang employee memang dia tak familiar lah with the new system, of course, right? Then the next step is complete documentation. So documentation that they must completed, they have 3 types of documentation they must prepare. Okay, so for each of the new system, these are the 3 documentation that they need to prepare. So the first one, development documentation. Okay, so they in this document, they need to describe the system. They must have the layout of the output input file. Okay, ada program flowchart, the test result. Okay, and then also maybe can include also the user acceptance form. So kat sini dia dah ada semua bukti-bukti ada kat situ. Okay, contoh yang kita dah discuss masa program design tadi. Okay, so this is part of the development documentation lah, the program design tu. So all the rules, any error and correction of the program semua dimasukkan dalam this documentation. Okay, and then the second one is operation documentation. We include the operating schedule, files and database access, equipment security, file retention requirements. Okay, semua tu adalah untuk operation documentation. Operation macam mana sistem tu dioperasikan, perlu ada dokumen, perlu dinyatakan dalam dokumen. Okay, and then the third one is user documentation. So this is it can be as a manual users, users macam mana nak guna sistem tu. Okay, this documentation can teach the users how to operate the system, include the procedure manual, training material. So they need to complete all these 3 documents. Okay, prepared for the every time they develop a new system, kena ada semua dokumen ni. Okay, kalau ada. And then the last kali, they need to test. Test ni penting lah. Okay, so test the system, documents and report, user input, operating and control procedure. They need to test on the processing procedure. Okay, computer program. So dia kena bagi try run dulu in realistic circumstances. Okay. Okay, so each of the contohnya user input, control procedures. Okay, so they need to have a test. Okay, given a try run in realistic circumstances. What we mean by the realistic circumstances ni, where they test the user's input based on the volume of the day. So tekan volume customer dia setiap hari ada dalam 2,000 customer datang. So they will trial run using user input of that 2,000 capacity of the customer input tadi. So that bila betul-betul sistem tu berjalan, they can don't have any error or dan sebagainya lah. So when they do test, it's good to have a try run in the realistic circumstances. In addition, capacity limits, backup and recovery procedure should also be tested. Contohnya lah backup, katakan dia dah ada sedia backup in another server, so they also need to test that server untuk backup dia, or any recovery procedure, so that bila if anything happen, so dia tahu dia boleh rely to the backup and procedure tu, recovery procedure. So the testing also should be on that backup and recovery procedure. So they have 3 common forms of testing. Walk through, so this is step-by-step review of the procedure or the program logic. So normally this one is they go through step-by-step review the procedure, ataupun dalam program structure tu they go step by step, they go through the procedure and program logic. Ni kalau program tu maknanya programmer tu check balik lah the program logic. And then processing test transaction, so here the do processing transaction. So they determine if the program operates as designed. So as we do the try run just now, try run in the realistic circumstances tu, so kat situ dia boleh determine whether the program can operate as designed and at that capacity. Okay, and then also they do test on the acceptance test. So they use copies of real transaction and files rather than hypothetical ones. So dia acceptance test ni dia tengok test on the they develop acceptance criteria, okay, and then make the final decision whether to accept the AIS or not, ataupun nak accept sistem tu ataupun tidak. So dia akan buat the test tu as a whole, to the whole system, okay, and then dia try run test the data, and then dia apa ni, dia akan consider lah whether to accept the final decision. The final decision tu whether to accept the system ataupun tidak. Okay, so itu kita panggil acceptance test. Alright. Okay, so itu untuk learning objective number 3. So I stop the video here. So I will continue the next video, the last video on the learning objective number 4 and number 5.